Yeah, I don't know what kind of vibe this is, but it's what I could come up with at 9 p.m. Irrelevant information, Luciana. Okay. Your sweet child just turned 1 or 2 years old, and your family has already started asking that question. Yes, that question. Don't say it.
When are you having another one?
I know, it's annoying when family and friends start pressuring you about having another child, either by telling you all the reasons why your child is gonna be all sad and alone growing up because he or she doesn't have a sibling, or reminding you of how old you're getting and how hard it would be to have another child if you wait too long. I mean, I don't know if that last one applies to you if you're not over 30 like me, but it's annoying either way, right? And while we all know they mean well, these are stressful things to hear. Not to mention, it's none of their well-meaning business. But if their non-solicited advice is getting to you, and you're looking for information regarding the pros and cons of having kids close in age or not, then this video might be just what you need. I've collected information on the subject from 3 different sources, and I'm gonna share it all with you today to help you on your decision-making process, because these helped me decide not to have a second child yet, and my son is already 3.5 years old. This way, after watching this video, you will know the pros and cons of having kids close in age, waiting a few years, or waiting a long time before popping out a new family member. Or maybe you already decided what's the best option for your life, and you just want to see if this is a good video to share with your friends and family members, so they can stop pressuring you into having another kid right away. I'm sure you're gonna like it, just send them this video. Okay, so what I wanna do, I wanna go over 1 or 2 pros and cons of each age gap category, I guess you can call it that, just to quickly give you an idea of the main points each option could bring. As I explained in the beginning of this video, my son is already 3.5 years old, and I am nowhere near thinking about having a second child. So I obviously chose the option of waiting many years in between pregnancies. And if you're curious to know why I decided to do that, please stick around as I'm sharing that at the end of this video. So for the first bracket of having kids less than 2 years apart of each other, the 2 under 2 option, which sounds like a nightmare. The main 2 pros that I see are, 1 is the fact that you're gonna go through all the hard times of having small kids all at once. And I know that sounds like a con, but some people see it as a pro.
I don't.
But think about it this way, you're not gonna be sleeping well anyway, so might as well stay awake and take care of 2 kids, right? And the second pro that I see of that age gap is that there's not gonna be a lot of jealousy in between siblings because your first child is too small to understand what's happening. They haven't been around for that long. They don't really understand what it's like having exclusive attention from mom and dad, you know? So once the second baby comes in, it's like, oh, sure, I'm not sure what's going on here, but hey, buddy, you know? So that's actually a pretty good pro. Like, you're not gonna have a lot of trouble, like the ones I'm gonna mention on the second age gap. Now, just to sneak in a third pro of that age gap is think about all the baby gear that you have around. No need to find storage for it. You're just gonna transfer it from one child to another. So it's like everything is being used, you know? So that kind of makes sense as well. Now, the main con that I see from this age gap of less than 2 years, it's that it's really hard on your body. The World Health Organization recommend waiting at least 18 months in between pregnancies, so it gives enough time for your body to recover, you know, to get all the nutrients, all the nice juices for that baby making miracle that we have in our bodies. Not to mention, it can take a toll on your mental health. I mean, having 1 kid already takes a toll on your mental health, right? When you're adjusting to being a new mom and all of that hormonal imbalance that comes with it. Can you imagine dealing with 2? Before recovering from the first one? That's some hard shit to deal with. Not to mention how sleep deprivation, it's really, really bad. And you're gonna be having a lot of it for an extended period when you have 2 under 2. Now let's talk about the 2 to 3 year old age gap. And let's start with the pros. Look, from the research I've done, nothing really stands out besides your body being ready for it. Like, you gave your body enough time to recover from the first pregnancy and childbirth and all of that, and the baby months and years where it really demands a lot of you. But I don't see any other pro. You're gonna be ready. But that's pretty much it. Like, I couldn't... I'm checking my research here and I'm like, you know, I see a lot of cons. So let's get to it. So, con number 1, sibling jealousy. Like, that's a big one. Like, all the, you know, the articles and the experts here say that, like, the older child is gonna act out, have a lot of rivalry. Rivalry? Is that how you say the word in English? Rivalry. And it's just gonna be a pain in the ass for you to deal with the, you know, terrible 2s while having a baby. Or terrible 3s, right? Because it's also terrible. Toddler years are hard because your child is already old enough to understand, you know, what it's like having, you know, mom and dad's full attention, and they don't like to share. They're very demanding, and when you put a new baby in the mix, yeah, you're gonna have that like Con number 2, there might be some regression. If he or she was already potty trained, they're gonna have some accidents. They might start, you know, going back to the pacifier, asking for a baby bottle because, you know, they see the kid doing, so they kind of like want to go back to being a baby or needing your assistance. That's like having a lot of work again, dealing with the regression. Possible, not always. Con number 3, which kind of goes together with the other 2, is your child may act out more. So yeah, there's quite some possible complications of having kids, you know, 2 to 3 years apart. Something to keep in mind. I like what they wrote in the article from What to Expect. Fussy newborn plus terrible twos can mean stress and disharmony are double in your house, at least for a while. That sounds like a really bad con. Anyway, moving on. Okay, now let's talk about having kids 3 to 4 or more years apart, which is my personal choice. Pro number 1, it's easier on you in terms of taking care of your baby because your first child is already old enough to entertain him or herself, so it gives you a little bit of more room to be with the baby in peace. It gives you more chance to spend quality time with each one of them. Like you can explain to your child, like it's already more mature, right? So you can explain to your child, look, now I'm gonna be with your brother or sister, right? And then after I can read a book, play with you, you know, so it's easier to separate things. Additionally, so you had enough time to enjoy life again after having one kid. So you kind of might be ready to, okay, so now, you know, we had our vacation from baby days. Now we can start thinking about going down the road again. Another pro that I see is the fact that your child can help. Like they can literally start being useful. And I'm sure they will ask to, they will want to, you know. That's what my friends who have kids like 5 to 6 years apart of each other tells me, that the older kid wants to help, you know, they want to feel like they're doing something for you, which takes like, you know, a huge weight off your heart that you might not be spending enough time with both of them, because I know that's something that you might feel, because I have friends that had kids close together and they say like, wow, it breaks my heart that my first child is in the developing years and they're feeling all these emotions, you know, that they don't really understand because they're too young, right? So it's hard for them, you know, they tell me like, oh, it breaks my heart because the child is suffering. They want to spend time with me, but I can't because, you know, you need to take care of the baby, you need to breastfeed or, you know, whatever you're doing, formula, pumping, I don't judge. Oh, I forgot to tell you about a big pro, which I think is like, you know, a big pro because I grew up with a sister that was fighting a lot with me. We were fighting a lot with each other and it was a nightmare for my parents. Yeah, when you have a big age gap in between kids, there is less rivalry, less jealousy, you know, kids fight a lot less because they don't have what to fight about so much, you know, each one of them is like doing their own thing, playing with their own toys and whatever. So it's less stressful in that sense. Now, when it comes to the cons, obviously there's a part of, you know, the possibility of having complications, you know, during the pregnancy and childbirth are higher, especially if you're over 35 years old, and the fact that you might be a little bit rusty, right? Because like you haven't done this baby thing for a while, so you might not even remember how to swaddle and, you know, all the baby basics that was really sharp in your head back in the days. But I think the main con that I see, and it's the only thing that still weighs heavy in my heart for choosing this route, is the fact that the kids are not gonna relate to each other so much. Like doing family activities, it's gonna be more complicated because, for example, if you take a trip to Disney World, as they are mentioned here in the article that I'm using as a research, it's gonna be split, right? You can't take both kids to like, okay, we're gonna do this and then we're gonna do that all together. Like it's gonna be, okay, so, you know, the father goes with the one, the mother goes with another one, or like the teenager wants to be alone and you just spend time with the small child. It's like there's two different zones, if you know what I mean. So it breaks my heart that they're not gonna be close friends, but at the same time, it's also gonna be a beautiful relationship of having like a big brother and sister that can watch over them, that can protect them. Now, to answer the question why I decided to wait 5 or more years in between children is because I needed that, right? I needed the break from the exhaustion, from the sleep deprivation, from the constant attention that I needed to give to my son. During the first year or two of being a mother, I felt like everything I did was for my family and my child. My job wasn't a priority. My hopes and dreams weren't a priority. It was just a lot. I don't know if you watched my other video about having postpartum depression. It wasn't fun, and to be honest with you, I'm afraid of having it again. I don't want to force myself into having a second child just because it's better for them to be, you know, siblings and whatever, like, you know, because I'm afraid that if I put myself in a situation that I don't really want to and don't feel 100% ready for it, I'm gonna break, you know? I'm gonna go back to that dark place where like I don't want to be here. Like I don't like this is too much for me. Like, I don't want to get there. I know I want to be a good mom and I want to be a present mom. So for that, I decided to wait. I also have plans of starting my own business, after the YouTube side is stable. And all of that takes time. And I don't want to stop my personal and professional development to have another child. Because if you're a mom, you know how it is. Work and personal life, it all gets halted when you have a baby for a good chunk of time. Let's say for at least a solid 6 months to a year until things get more or less back to normal. Or maybe longer if you can't afford childcare and you have to wait until, your kid can go to preschool wherever you're from. Although, like I said, it upsets me that the more I wait, the less my future kid and Thomas will be, let's say, close. But I need to do this for me. Our finances are in a good place. We're recovering well from, the fiasco that was the past 2 years because I couldn't work as much as I was working before. So yeah, we're not having another kid anytime soon. Family planning is important, and we want to do the best we can to give our existing child the best life we can, while also, keeping our mental health in check and financial health in check. So if you're having a lot of pressure from your friends and family members or from society where you're coming from to have kids close in age, because that's the norm or that's the best thing to do, I hope these points gave you enough answers to quiet your mind if you're concerned about that. And the research behind those points are listed in the description box below, because there's no right or wrong when it comes to what's the best age gap in between kids. It all depends on what's best for you, for your family, for your lifestyle. You need to consider all these things because we're not baby-making machines, right? We're humans and we deserve to feel like such. And if having another child right now, it's gonna disrupt how your life is going, the direction that your life is taking, your hopes and dreams, then don't do it. And it's okay, because it's important for you to feel comfortable with your decision. It's really important. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content that I make here on this channel. Don't forget to check out Thank You Very Blush, which is my beauty channel. The link is in the description, and I'll see you next Saturday. Bye. And as women, we have so much to contribute to the world, to society, that is not just, making children. So when people start asking oh, when are you gonna have another one? Why? Is that the only thing I'm good for? Having kids?